Sports Intel with Ryan Walsh is brought to you by
Collectible Insurance Services, Eric Hall Aesthetic and General Dentistry, Calder Financial, Grand Management Group, Rydan Investments, Encore Business Group, Jim Hegland of JH Realty, Williams Chiropractic, I-Core, the West Michigan Sports Commission.
Sports Intel with Ryan Walsh.
Stay informed and stay vigilant.
The Sports Intel with Ryan Walsh Show, presented by Collectibles Insurance Services. I'm not Ryan Walsh. I'm Jeff Isaac with Jayden Hewitt. Jayden, how you doing?
Not too bad. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. We're not going to try and get into too much trouble with Ryan gone, but I'm really suspicious on what he's doing and where he's doing it at. So he's in Las Vegas for a bit for business. So I was looking at, you and I off air before the show started, we're looking at expos and conventions that were happening in Las Vegas. And the one that I'm very curious about is this GlamCon, which is a 3-day beauty and wellness expo.
This one is potentially one that could be a cover conference. We could see Ryan at the GlamCon if we head down to Las Vegas after the show today. There's a multitude of different things going on in Las Vegas this week, so it could be any one of them. We aren't really sure. We do know that he's on business, and we don't know what kind of business it is. So I guess we'll have to see next Monday what was going on for sure.
All right, and when you're on business and you have the business credit card in Vegas, that could be trouble.
Yeah, and Ryan told me there was going to be no gambling on the trip too, so that is ruled out of the business card, but the GlamCon is not as of right now. So various beauty products could be coming back in his car this week or whatever flight that he's on. We'll have to see. I'll see him on Friday, maybe at Encore, and I will let you know if he has a lot of beauty products rolling in, and maybe that's what he's been up to.
Yeah, and we're supposed to do dinner Friday night, so I'll be paying close attention to see if the eyebrows are freshly plucked or if there's some kind of, cover-up he's wearing or something. Who knows? We know he's not going to get in that big of trouble, but the GlamCon's got me very curious about this whole thing.
Absolutely, and I think he's got the CIA get-out-of-jail-free card, too, if he did get in trouble there, I feel
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So that could be, you never know. And the GlamCon could also be a former CIA meetup. Maybe that's possibly what we're looking at.
A cover-up, a possible cover-up?
Possibly. We never know. We will, like I said, we'll find out, but me and Jeff were very curious about what could possibly be going on in Las Vegas, aside from everything that already goes on in Las Vegas, the additional events.
Events, yes, the events. And we all know the saying, what stays or what happens in Vegas.
Take it to the next level by partnering with Encore Business Group. Encore is a West Michigan-based third-party logistics company specializing in e-commerce inventory management, warehousing, and fulfillment. They also sell and accept consignments for sporting goods, memorabilia, and other items you're looking to sell via their various e-commerce platforms. By tapping into Encore's specialized expertise, you'll save money and have more time to focus on what you do best. To learn more, submit a message at EncoreBusinessGroup.com.
Welcome back to Sports Intel with Ryan Walsh, presented by Collectibles Insurance Services. I'm Jeff Isaac, filling in for Ryan. He's in Vegas at a convention. Jayden Hewitt in studio. And joining us now on the phone is Robbie Bettelon with the Detroit Bad Boys. We're here to talk Pistons basketball. Robbie, how you doing?
I am doing good, brother. Did you not get the invite to Vegas?
I did
Ryan
not
didn't invite you? That's tough.
You know what? I never thought about that. I didn't get an invite from
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Ryan at Encore as well, and I did not get an invite.
Yeah,
so.
And I knew if Jayden's not getting an invite, I'm certainly not getting an invite. So anyway,
Ryan's in trouble when he gets back.
We don't know yet if he's coming back. We both still think it's up in the air.
Potentially.
All right. Well, funny. Ryan always does the National Day, and today we've got two to choose from. We've got National Waffle Day or National Peach Pie Day.
Oh, gosh. I am not a peach guy whatsoever, so I will go the waffles route I'm down here in Nashville, so even some chicken and waffles, a little southern touch to it. I'm a big fan of chicken and waffles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Gotta love the chicken and waffles. That was popular in Grand Rapids like 5-6 years ago. I think it's cooled off, but I remember when that was it. Chicken and waffles. Could get it anywhere.
Yeah, a little chicken and waffles phase over there in GR.
We did. Absolutely. Well, let's get in with the Pistons talk. It's been to say it's been an interesting offseason is an understatement. What is going on with this Jaylen Duren story? I don't know if this is true. I just read that he was offered, was this true, a 5-year, $180 million deal?
I don't know if that has officially been offered, but I feel like that's a really good range. Like that's a strong offer to me that I think the team would like. And I also think Duren would like, because as much as he may not be getting the money that he's interested in getting, his qualifying offer next year, if for whatever bizarre reason, if he would want to take that, is $9 million. I'm certainly not leaving, $170 million plus on the table. I have not heard that offer was like officially out there. I would assume if that offer was on the table, I think he would be signed already, or maybe, I don't know, maybe that's just my wishful thinking at this point. But it seems like a very fair offer if that was officially out there.
Absolutely. I think it's more than a fair offer. The problem is he wants the max deal. Is he still sitting out waiting for that max deal to happen?
So I think if Duren doesn't make all NBA this past season, I think he's probably signed at this point. If I try to look at it from Jaylen's perspective, his max with Detroit is 5 years, $287 million. And so let's say that offer of 5 for 180 was really on the table. From his perspective, he may be looking at it like, hey, that's $107 million less than what you guys can offer me. Like, that could be just a perspective that he has on it, where like, the team that I want to spend the next 5 years at, is, $100 million total less than what I'm looking for. But if you compare, what he would be making with other people around, it's more than Chet Holmgren. It's more than Wemby. He's getting up there with the Jokic and the Embiids of the world. And I really only think, max player type of centers are those centers that can be like those offensive hubs that can shoot, can even provide a little bit of rim protection. And, Duren just has a very different skill set. And I think, he's still young. Who knows what he could turn into? But right now he just doesn't seem to have the skill set that is, one that would be worth $287 million.
And unfortunately for him, management and fans are looking at what he did in the playoffs, where he's looking at, hey, look what I did, this season. I was all NBA, and that's kind of the way he's looking at it. And man, it's been longer than what I expected, him not signing. And now we're getting close, right? Camp, practices, preseason starts when? October? I mean, it's right around the corner. We got to get something done. Media Day will be like the last week in September, maybe around like September 20th, 24th, something. Or I don't think it's planned yet, but that has kind of been my, what do you want to call it? Like invisible line of a deadline, not an official deadline, but I think if the whole Pistons team, if the coaching staff had to go to media day and this whole Jaylen Duren thing wasn't figured out yet, I would just imagine that, these guys are going to get hounded with questions about Duren. Have you talked to Duren this summer? Why hasn't he signed yet? Is he going to sign? Like, I feel like it would just be a major headache for the team
when they get to media day, if he's still not signed. So we still have maybe a month, maybe like 4 weeks left until that point. So that, in my mind, is like my unofficial deadline. I will say I saw a tweet, I think it was this morning, I think it was today, that Cade Cunningham is hosting like his own players only like camp. I forget where it's at, but I saw that he's hosting his own camp, bringing the players out, and I haven't seen anything else other than that. But since that's not like an official team event, the first thing I thought of, like, you know, hey, is Jaylen Duren there? Is he invited? Does he plan on going? Are we ever going to see, you know, pictures or videos of like Duren being at this players camp? And if he is, I would feel much, much better about the whole situation. But yeah, my like unofficial deadline is media day, which will be, you know, later in September, because I got to imagine it would be miserable for the team to have to answer all those questions about Duren with him not being there. And I just imagine it would be a major headache for the guys to deal with.
Absolutely. This is Jayden, by the way. It seems to me that Duren has flashed an offensive skill set that looks like it could grow. And maybe that's what he's banking on. But you're absolutely correct in that he's not a hub on offense, so he's never going to get max money. I guess my question would be, though, is it that bad if he does play for $9 million next year and then he is free to go wherever he wants the year after that? My problem, I think, is just I'm the biggest Duren believer there is. I don't think that any team is going to offer him anything better than what we can offer him unless he averages 22 or 23 points a game and shows that he is more than capable of creating his own offense sometimes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this situation.
Yeah, I think it is, you know, like in the regular season, we saw him, you know, kind of more of an on-ball player. He was able to put the ball on the floor. He had some nice dribble drives to the basket, you know, and averaged, I think it was like 20 and 10 basically. And then we get to the playoffs and all of that has basically disappeared. I think he has a lot of potential on the offensive end. He shot a couple mid-range shots last season that looked pretty good. I don't need him to start shooting threes or anything, but kind of, you know, if he's in the triple threat at like the free throw line or the high post or something, you know, I could see him doing like a little jab and maybe shooting a mid-range shot, or maybe, you know, he pump fakes and then drives. Or I do think now he just basically has to develop, you know, a little bit more of an offensive game, you know, to have a counter when they cut off his drive. You know, if they're stopping him from getting to the rim, you know, can he do a little like spin shot? Can he develop maybe a little bit of a floater if he can't get all the way to the rim? So he has grown offensively every year. I would continue to think that would be the case, especially because, you know, he's still so young. My answer to the qualifying offer thing, I think what I fear is like the team chemistry and like the team vibes if he does take that. One, I don't have any numbers to back this up, but I'm pretty sure that if he were to take the qualifying offer, I would assume that is like the most amount of money that was probably on the table, even if, let's say it was, you know, 150, let's say it was 5 years over 150 million. Even if he turned that down and took the qualifying offer, like I think that would be the most amount of money ever in NBA history that somebody would turn down to just take the qualifying offer. So I worry about it from a chemistry and honestly like a team happiness standpoint. Another wrinkle to that is he has to basically approve of a trade if you want to trade him on the qualifying offer. So, you know, let's say there's somebody out there that's making $9 million as well, and maybe we want to swap Duren for this player. Duren can choose to say no at that point because that's part of the qualifying offer is having a no trade clause in it. So as messy as the situation may seem, I think it gets even messier from a qualifying offer standpoint. And if the front office, if Trajan Langdon gets, any real whiff that, if they figure out that Duran is getting close to signing the qualifying offer, like if that is becoming a real thing, I think you have to move him before it even gets to that point, just to like maintain, like the energy, the attitude of the whole team going into next season.
Absolutely. And I think that is one of my worries, obviously from a chemistry standpoint, but you lost Stewart this offseason. You lost Tobias Harris. And losing Duran, you're losing a large part of the core of the team that kind of started to, I mean, obviously Harris a little bit later, but established that mentality back in Detroit. And I start to wonder, where the team goes from there. Obviously you have Cade and you have Asar and, you have Ron Holland, you have those guys still, but you wonder where the identity of the team goes, and you wonder how well they're going to mesh with new guys after they've established a relationship over the years. I think there's a lot on the table here with Duran, so I am very curious to see how that situation goes. But I do want to pivot a little bit here to the offseason. We obviously acquired a lot of shooting this offseason, but not as much in the secondary ball handler realm outside of a Corey in the draft. What is your take on what went on this offseason, and do you think they could have improved, or do you feel pretty comfortable with the team going into next year, presuming we have Duran?
Yeah, if I had to grade the offseason, I would say I thought this was the time that, Trajan was finally going to find Cade like his number two, the Robin to his Batman, so to say. And it seems like they tried. It seems like they attempted to do that. Whether it was like the rumors of them trying to go after Austin Reeves, like Kyrie Irving or Kawhi Leonard type of trades. It seems like they tried to and maybe pivoted, to just grabbing as much shooting as they could once, the kind of those bigger names weren't available. I was really excited about the idea of Trey Murphy, but, if Trey Murphy's asking price was a reasonable price, I think he would be on a different team right now. So the fact that he's still on the Pelicans, kind of tells me that nobody in the NBA is looking to pay that price. So I think this will be the most amount of shooting that has ever surrounded Cade, Asar, and Duran so far in their short careers. I get the worries about a secondary ball handler, but I will say one thing that I'm kind of excited about with the way the offseason did. They got a ton of shooting, and now because they didn't get that secondary ball handler, I feel like those reps are going to go to Asar and Duran, hopefully, if he returns. I would say Asar, I think he has the highest ceiling on the team, or he's furthest away from hitting his ceiling, which is kind of funny to say given he was a defensive player of the year candidate. But I'm excited to give the ball to Asar more. I want to see if his handle has, can tighten up, can look a little bit better. Can he take, some more reps and kind of develop into maybe an on-ball type of player where he can provide Cade with some relief. And then same thing with Duran. I think he did a good job as a second option. I'm not sure he's a second option on a championship team. So, I think maybe a third option at best if they do go and get Cade's number two eventually. But if the offseason, if we want to call it like, they didn't get Cade's number two, if the offseason had to go a certain way where they didn't get his number two, I would want it to go the way that it went this summer, because they basically got as much shooting as possible. And with the loss of Tobias Harris, they kind of lost, some shot creation in the starting lineup. But it seems like with the way that the team is set up currently, that those kind of like secondary and tertiary on-ball reps are going to go to Asar and Duran. And I'm at least excited to kind of see that through until at least February. And then, once you get to the trade deadline, you can kind of reassess from there. Maybe Trey Murphy's a little bit cheaper at that point. Maybe a player that wasn't available this summer is going to be available at the deadline. So as much as I wanted Cade, to have his number 2 next to him, I'm okay with how the offseason went, and I'm excited if that means more opportunities for Asar and Duran.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. And I think that Ron Holland is kind of the wild card here too, because I think he has a pretty high offensive ceiling. And he came in pretty raw and with a lot of untapped potential.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is a lot to be seen there. And I think that with the shooting, that is going to be beneficial to everybody in general. So, no, I definitely agree. And I'd be curious to see what we look like at the deadline and what Trajan's plan looks like at the deadline, depending on how the season goes. I think, like you said, Duran could also be one of those secondary options as well. So it'll be interesting, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Ron, I think I don't know if this is their long-term plan, but like if Ron can figure out a jumper, if he can even shoot like mid-30s just from the corners, I wonder if, their long-term vision is kind of having Cade, Asar, and Ron as point guard, shooting guard, small forward. And then just the idea of that defensive lineup, like Cade is a pretty good defender, and there are not many two-way stars in this league, and I would call Cade one of them. But for him to be your third best perimeter defender in a lineup with Asar and Ron, granted, Ron will need to turn into a threat from the three-point line, but I have wondered if that's kind of their long-term vision with those three guys.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how hard is it to find a Robin to our Batman, Cade Cunningham, when this team their identity is defense? So you can't just go out and get an offensive star and lose that defense identity. So it's tougher, I believe, in Detroit to find that second person next to the second player next to Cade Cunningham, because you can't just give up defense for all offense, correct?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I think my long-term dream is to see Asar play the 2 next to Cade, which is why Trey Murphy to me was an ideal offseason target. He was my thought of who could be Cade's number 2, who, kind of shoots it like Duncan Robinson does, but he's a little bit bigger and he can also catch lobs like Asar can. So on top of, similar to what you said about the defense, I also like them embracing their size. And I think if, Cade, who is 6'6", 6'7", is your shortest player on the court, I think that's a huge advantage for Detroit to have. But yes, I love that they're embracing, the Detroit grit, so to speak, and really embracing the defensive side of things. I really think, their defense carried them so much through the regular season, into the postseason, that they were, missing some of that offense that I guess they maybe weren't getting from so many defensive-minded guys. But I think even if Asar can't shoot, even if Duran can't shoot, at least from the three-point line, I still think there are ways for these guys to grow their offensive game and still find ways to make an impact offensively without losing out on the defense as well. So I was one of those guys who also thought Ron maybe was going to be traded this summer in a Trey Murphy type of deal. So the fact that he's still around, I'm excited about as well. They kind of have, a ton of, whether you look at even Javonte Green or, some of their depth pieces. I'm excited about Paul Reed. These are all guys that have active hands. They play the passing lanes. They like to get steals. So I also like that they kind of are embracing, hey, if we're not a great 3-point shooting team, let's just go ahead and turn the opponent over. Let's get out and run in transition, and we can get offense going that way. So as much as, the modern game has really turned to 3-point shooting, I feel like Detroit is still doing it the gritty defensive way. And I enjoy that the team kind of, portrays the city or embodies the city at the same time.
We're speaking to Robbie Bettelon from Detroit Bad Boys. We got to take a short break. Robbie, you want to come back and talk some MSU football?
Yeah, I would love to.
All right, we're going to take a short break. You're listening to Sports Intel, presented by Collectibles Insurance Services. The vice president over there. What do you think of the hire?
I did not know about Dan Bartholomew prior to him taking the job. I also write for The Only Colors, which is a Michigan State website, and I got to interview a beat writer that went to the press conference. I was able to watch the press conference live on YouTube, and he said all the right things, but I think you could also say that about our previous athletic director, who is now at Kentucky shortly after. So I'm excited about him. I think some of his highlights at Western was that he hired a new coach when he was there, and within 3 years they were able to win the MAC title. Michigan State's hockey team is very good, and Western was able to get a title in hockey as well. He also led some renovations with the stadium, and I know that Spartan Stadium has been needing a renovation for quite some time at this point. So he seems to have the experience. He's young. I think he's only 46. And he called this a dream job for him. So I think some Michigan State fans maybe are a little hesitant given the lack of consistency at some leadership positions the past few years. But I'm excited about him so far.
Yeah, he's a friend of Steve Project, who does the other sports show here on Jethro FM. They have
cool.
They've had a really good relationship, and I've produced a couple of shows with Dan, and he's a very smart guy, really, really good guy. He can really raise money. That was his specialty at Western, and I'm very excited. He did an amazing job at Western. Steve was not so certain that he would take the job, and I was like, I think he's going to jump. I think it's not a big move for his family because he does have young kids. So, if he's staying over there in Kalamazoo, in the Kalamazoo area, it's not a bad drive up to East Lansing. I'm really excited.
Right.
I think he's going to do really well, and I'm excited because it's just been such the last couple of years over there at MSU. I think it's aged Tom Izzo by at least 5 years, that poor man.
I know.
And
poor guy.
And this football program, these fans are so hungry. And like you said, the stadium, I think he's going to bring all that. I think he's going to start renovating that stadium, and you're going to find out real fast how good he is at raising money and doing things around him. And he's really, really good with the kids. He's always had personal relationships with the families of the athletes, and I'm really excited to see what he can do over there at MSU.
Yeah, he seemed very confident in his responses. Like, he seemed very confident in himself. He seems very confident in his ability to do the job. When I interviewed the beat writer about him, I'm trying to remember the exact number of what he referred to, but whatever Westerns, I forget like what plaque a donator or a donor got. If you donated more than $10,000, like, you got some sort of recognition from Western. And he told me when Dan first arrived at Western, there was one donor who donated more than $10,000. And by the time Dan was done at Western, there were more than 100 donors who were donating more than $10,000. So as it's kind of funny, I feel like as, the NLI world and college sports in general has just changed over the past several years. It feels like at this point, this fundraising has become like the number one priority of ADs at this point. So I feel like with as good of a track record that he has with all of that, and now that he's moving to a Big Ten school, should have more resources, should have more people, should have it should only continue on hopefully a bigger scale for him moving forward. So yeah, I'm excited about him too.
Yeah, Robbie, this is Jayden here again. I think you and Jeff both encompassed. I'm a recent Michigan State grad. That's why I wanted to hop in on this conversation. Obviously,
Awesome.
go green. So I graduated in 2025, at the end of 2025, and I think that every student on campus had no idea what was going on outside of the basketball program, and I say that, and not in terms of what was going on the field or on the court or whatever it may be. It was, what is leadership doing, and how is this going to become a more stable environment? And that goes obviously beyond the athletic department. That goes into the board of trustees. That goes into the president as well.
Yeah.
But I think that at the core of Michigan State's identity is strong, stable athletic programs, and I think that if we've looked at Western in recent years, especially with their football program and their hockey program, that's what you see. And I think that every student on campus, and any student that's listening to this, and any alumni that's listening to this, they are just hoping for stability. They might not be expecting the best out of Michigan State. They might not expect a national championship in the next 3 years, but I think they want to feel less like a chicken with their head cut off, running around, not knowing what's going on campus anymore. So that is a recent Spartan grad's take on the situation here.
Hey, I was a Spartan grad from 2014, and that's still my take today. So, yeah, I think it's. I'm not asking Dan to come in here and instantly make us title contenders. Same thing with Fitz, Coach Fitzgerald. It's just like, I just want to compete, I want to be in the conversations for a Big Ten title at the end of the season. Izzo is still making Sweet 16s. Can we get to the next stage? Can we get to an Elite Eight again? Can we get Tom to another Final Four? So yeah, I'm right there with you, even though I graduated 11 years earlier than you did. I just want consistency again. I want steadiness, and I want to compete. And I'll give a shout out to MSU's, their social team, their social media team. At least on the football side, they've been releasing a ton of behind the scenes looks. Fitz standing in front of the big screen, talking about setting expectations, setting standards, what it means to be a Spartan, to do things the Spartan way. And I feel like even maybe since the D'Antonio era, have kind of lost that culture of grit and, of what it means to be a Spartan. And now that Fitz is back, and he's dropping all these fun quotes, we don't have a chip on our shoulder, we have a whole bag of chips. It's those cliche little football coach things. It kind of reminds me of when the Lions first hired Dan Campbell. Mm-hmm. And it was man, I don't know that we're going to be a very good football team, but I believe in this guy. Whatever he's saying, whatever he's selling, I'm buying. I had a podcast the other day where I was I've got a giant cup of green Kool-Aid, and it's all I've been drinking the past month because of really Coach Fitz, and just I feel like he's getting people to buy back into the football program. He's saying all the right things. He's a culture setter. And between him, Dan, and Izzo, I feel like, fingers crossed, we'll have some steady leadership for the next few years between those three.
Absolutely. And I think too, looking at, pivoting to the team, I think that you obviously expect with Pat Fitzgerald that you're going to have a good defense. You're going to have a strong defense, and there's going to be that culture there. That was obviously the case at Northwestern when he would sneak up and bite people and have good seasons and all of that. But you look at Michigan State's offense too, and you do see a lot of talent there. Obviously, you brought in Cam Edwards and his teammate, and I might butcher his name. Is it Mirowski or?
Ben Mirowski.
Yep. And so, you brought in a lot of talent, and we still have McCray and It looks like Charles Taplin might be looking to take a bigger role. I've seen that around as well too. So it looks like that there could be a little bit of a sneaky presence for Michigan State this year in the Big Ten. Obviously, we both admitted that we probably don't expect immediate contention, but I think that people probably are counting Michigan State out more than they should be. And I think that's probably what they want to feel, but you could correct me if I'm wrong, if that's the vibe that you're getting from the team right now.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. So in my prediction, I had them at 5-7 this year, which I think their Vegas win total was at 3.5 a couple months ago, and then it moved up to 4.5, which is a good sign just for, an expectation standpoint that their win total is moving up. I think I feel better about the offense than I do about the defense so far this year. I do think their running back room is stacked. They got a ton of depth there, and I think Cam Edwards is going to be the best running back that we've had since Kenneth Walker. The wide receiver room is young. They got some youth in it, but I'm excited about the young guys. Rodney Bullard just got cleared today from the NCAA, so there's another depth piece that the wide receiver room will have. I'm excited about the O-line. They've got a ton of transfers in. They still got some good recruits in there, but I feel like the O-line has some depth that it has not had in the past few seasons. And it's funny saying that I'm excited about the O-line as a Michigan State fan, because that maybe has been one of our weakest points the past few years. But on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like every position group has like a bona fide starter, whether that's Jordan Hall at linebacker, Nakai Martinez at safety, Chuck Brantley or Charles Brantley coming back after he transferred to Miami, Ben Roberts on the defensive line, all guys who are, returning in bona fide starters. I feel like there's a little bit less depth on the defensive side, but still some exciting players. Penny Soares Jr. on the edge seems like the real deal. And then they got some decent other defensive backs as well, like Trey Bell on the opposite side of Brantley. So I'm with you. Like I think people are gonna just be a little bit surprised when Michigan State shows up, and hopefully Michigan State's taking the first punch and hitting somebody in the jaw on the first drive, and kind of setting a tone basically for what the rest of the season, how it'll look. So I'd say my outlook on the season is kind of similar to my overall perspective in our last conversation, is I just want to see them compete. When they were bowl eligible, if they would have beat Rutgers, maybe it was last year or the year before, the final game, trying to get their 6th win, and then they got blown out by Rutgers 41-14. Those are the kind of things that I'm looking to get away from. No more blowouts. Keep it close. If you can even only lose to Notre Dame by 10, I would call that a win at that point. But I'm right there with you. I think the fan base is itching for just a competitive, gritty football team. And out of everything I've seen so far, it seems like Fitz is the right man for the job. And I'm excited about this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a Spartan at heart, obviously, but I'm a Miami fan. So offensive line gets you real fired up. I love a good offensive line. I like seeing some push. I love punching people in the mouth early in the game, and a good defensive line. So I think that is the culture that I expect Pat Fitzgerald to bring, and I am glad to hear it from the people that see it every day, that is what is expected, because that is what Michigan State football should be. So
we're just we're directing the ship in a better direction than it has been in the past few years. So hopefully it's all going to work out.
Yeah, now we can start talking football and not this whole AD and all what else is going on behind the scenes. We can focus on the actual sport. So good to say, isn't it? Now that Dan Bartholomew is in place.
And hopefully no more Jalen Duren talk. Hopefully here soon enough. Hopefully we'll have that wrapped up too.
All right. Robbie, tell everybody where they could find you on social media.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter or Blue Sky at Robbie Bettelon, and you can find my work for the Pistons at www.detroitbadboys.com. And if you're looking for any Michigan State's coverage of mine, you can find that at www.theonlycolors.com.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Go Spartans. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, fellas. Good talking to you. Go Green.
Go White.
All right. Robbie Bettelon. We'll come back after a short break and wrap this puppy up. You're listening to the Sports Intel, presented by Collectibles Insurance Services on Jethro FM.
Sports Intel is presented
by Collectibles Insurance Services. Jeff Isaac in for Ryan Walsh. Jayden Hewitt beside me in studio. We're wrapping things up. I haven't checked the Tigers score. Last time I checked, it was 4-1.
It is still 4-1.
Okay, Framber gave up a home run in the sixth. He did go 6 innings. It's that, if he could just skip the first inning, you have to wonder, and they would never do it because you're paying him too much. If you could have an opener for Framber just to pitch the first inning and have him hopefully mentally know I'm going to end in the second inning, maybe we could get past this over 7 ERA in the first inning this season.
That is a fantastic idea, and I have also recommended similar ideas about Jack Flaherty in the past, who I do love. I love Jack Flaherty. He is really bad after the fourth inning. If Jack Flaherty could give you a 1-run, 3-hit, 4 innings, and that's what you get out of him, I would take that in a heartbeat, and I would have a long reliever come in. So I think there is a couple of situations the Tigers should look at, but I am also not the GM, so I can't.
To be fair, Flaherty was getting better before he got injured, but I don't think there's any chance he's on this team next year.
I think there is a very little chance that he is, and I think that it would be a cost-cutting measure if he is. And looking at the depth of our pitching, it's hard to see. It's hard to see him on the team because we have probably 7 or 8 guys that legitimately could start on a rotation next year. So
right, and literally, if you think about it, Flaherty, the only reason is that he's on the team is because he accepted his option, which of course he's gonna, because no one else is gonna pay him what the Tigers were paying him this year when he opted in that contract.
Absolutely, I would love that as a
20
player.
million?
I think it was 15. I'd have to take a look. It was 10 or 15 or 20. I don't know, but I'd have to look. But I think that would be the ultimate negotiation as a player. You're kind of struggling, but you got 10, 15, 20 million dollars sitting there for you next year, and then you struggle a little bit more, but you're still getting paid that money. As a player, I would love that, but as a GM, you probably don't like that very much.
No, and he's part of the salary that comes off the books. Obviously, Skubal. It'll be interesting what they do with the Baez next year. With $82 million coming off the books, a lot of people saying that they're just going to eat his salary and let him go, which I wouldn't be surprised. With Max Clark in center field, I mean, that's the reason why Baez was on the team, because he could play center field, he could play short. Mm-hmm. He was actually playing left the other night. He can do that, but now with Max Clark up, he's expendable, and I wouldn't be surprised if Harris does eat that salary next year.
Yeah, it would. Javier Baez at this stage in his career would be a fantastic player to have on a $5 million a year deal for a couple of years as a utility guy. But he is not worth his $25+ million, I think, a year at this point. I'd have to take a look at that to be sure on that. But he is costing a lot of money for the Tigers right now, so I think that it is a possibility that his salary is just eaten and that is forgotten about. But I would be a little bummed to see him leave Detroit because I think he is a good personality fit for the team. I think he's very helpful to young players. And I do think that he's a good player still, just in a different way and not for $25 million a year. So
no, they love him in the clubhouse. Absolutely. He loves baseball. He loves the game. I love when AJ Hinch talks about him, how he plays like a kid. He's just overpaid.
He is absolutely, and I saw Max Clark I think talk about him the other day in a story. I cannot remember who wrote that story, but he had nothing but great things to say about him in his time in Toledo, and helping the players while he was down there, because obviously you are a big leaguer on rehab. You don't have to help the players. You don't have to be nice to the players. It would probably behoove you to do that because they're going to be on the team at some point, but a lot of guys big time those guys because they just want to get back. That is not in his DNA, and I think that is he's not going to leave a sour taste in anybody's mouth when he does leave, or if he does stay, whatever it may be. I think that is a worthwhile person to have around your organization.
Absolutely. I'm just going through the box score. Tigers 3 hits. This offense has just been really struggling. Torkelson, you got to wonder what we're going to do with Torkelson next year. I mean,
that is a question that I've asked myself a lot, because he gets very hot, and then you're like, okay, well, maybe you can keep him around for a while. And one of the things about Torkelson that I think about a lot is, if Torkelson were an 8th round pick, and he had,
right.
He would never got the same opportunity probably, but you'd be looking at him way differently if he's hitting 20 home runs and he's got a 720 OPS. You'd be like, okay, that's a pretty decent player to have on your roster. He's maybe not a long-term option at first base. But because those expectations are there, it is hard to justify it. And I told my dad this the other day. Shout out to Dad if you're listening to this. Spencer Torkelson may be one of my favorite Colorado Rockies ever if he played in Colorado. He pulls the ball in the air nonstop. I think he would hit 40 home runs if he was a Colorado Rocky, but I am not going to advocate for him leaving Detroit just yet. But it is getting to that point where you do have to make a decision on him.
No, and it's amazing. I was listening to Dan Dickerson the other day. I think it was a 12-game stretch where he was hitting well over 300. On base percentage was up. They gave him a day off, and since he's come back, this horrific slump. He's just so streaky.
Very much so. And baseball is such a weird sport too.
It is.
It is one of those sports where the smallest thing could affect somebody, throw off their timing, throw off their rhythm. Some of it's coincidental, some of it's not. But you look at the way that Scott Harris has tried to build through the draft, and you see some players on the roster currently that don't really fit that mold. And if they're not performing to the level of, like, say, a Riley Green, he's probably not going to live with you not hitting the ball very often. He's probably not going to live with you not producing in the way that he would like you to. You look at, like, McGonigal and Max Clark, similar profiles in how they approach the game. McGonigal has got, I have it written down here, a 13.9 strikeout percentage and a 13.9 walk percentage, which are both very well above average. And that is exactly what he wants to see from his players, is controlling the strike zone. And you look at Spencer Torkelson when he takes the first pitch, 75% of the time, which I don't have the stat on hand to see when it is, but he doesn't swing at a lot of really good pitches and doesn't control the strike zone very well, even though he was walking a lot at points in the year. You just have to wonder, like, where those guys fit in. And Kerry Carpenter in the same vein, where those guys fit in on the roster.
You really have to wonder with Carpenter. Carpenter's health is he needed to have a big year to get a contract next year. So it's going to be, this team could look really different next year, but still could be. That's the exciting thing. It could still look really different, but they could still be really good.
Yeah, and I think you look at Josue Briseño too, kind of knocking on the door at first base, because he's obviously not a viable option at catcher anymore, based on all things that I've seen and all reports that I've read. He is a monster bat. He has a lot of power. There is some swing and miss there. It's another, one of those situations that you might have to live with that, because he could hit 40 home runs. And if he can play in an average first base, you have to look at the long-term upside there and think that that's more than Torkelson offers you at, I think he's 26 now.
Yep.
Briseño is, I believe, 21 or 22. So you're looking at cheaper and better long-term option there. He's knocking on the door. Thyron Lorenzo is also in that same mold. He's a switch hitter, which I don't know how many more lefties I can see in our lineup, even though that is what all of our top prospects are. And so having that switch hitter role with Lorenzo and having to make a decision on him in the offseason as well. Eduardo Valencia is somebody that could probably go to first base long term. That's been just killing the ball. And he hits the ball hard all the time. I had written about him in Toledo last year. He was killing the ball last year. There's a lot of people that are looking at Spencer Torkelson's job and saying, that's probably my job here soon. So when is it going to be my job? And so Torkelson's got to pick it up, or that's gone for him.
Yeah, and I think what keeps Torkelson around is his defense. Very underrated first baseman. Great defensive first baseman, but yeah, his birthday, he's got a birthday coming up Wednesday. He'll be 27, and dude, time's running out. Time is running out.
Yeah, I saw a tweet today, I think it was from one of the Tigers pages, that said he's going to have the most memorable 40 home run season in Cincinnati you've ever seen in 2028. And because I know what's going to happen with Spencer Torkelson if he does leave the Tigers, and as I think that he's going to have a big year somewhere, and he's kind of just going to hang around in the league because he does have a lot of power, and he likes to pull the ball in the air, and people like that. Some teams more than others. So if they are capable of figuring out the issues he does have, he could stay around and be a first baseman in the MLB for a long time. I just don't think it's with Detroit. I don't think that he is the long-term solution there. So I would be curious though to see what they do with him in this offseason.
And Cincinnati would be really interesting. I don't know if you've ever been. I mean, everybody knows about the park, but I don't know if you've been to a game. That ball, it's like a little league field. It is. It's unbelievable how easy it is to hit a home run out of the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati or Colorado. Maybe.
Couple good places. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Vegas is going to be up there soon, and Ryan might still be in Las Vegas by the time the team moves.
Yes. He may be going to the opening day in Vegas. It's 2028, right?
Yes,
Vegas?
He's going to live in the Las Vegas underworld until 2028's opening day. I don't know if
still
anybody's
have
seen
the show
that,
named after him.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
his memory of being here. Right?
In his memory, he's not going to be gone in our realm or anything. He's just going to be in Las Vegas. So
right. We got one more break, and we'll come back and wrap things up here. You're listening to Sports Intel with Ryan Walsh, presented by Collectibles Insurance Services on Jethro FM. Next week, Jayden Hewitt in studio with me. A good show. I think we did all right. Holding down the fort.
I think so. I think we did okay. We held it down while we may have to hold it down for much longer though. This is again, guys, this is a fluid situation. So
I'm really starting to get concerned. I wonder if Ryan's mom's listening. I wonder if she's as concerned as we are.
I know I haven't really heard from him today. I figured that we would see a text from him during the show.
Yeah, I thought I would get a text going, "Hey, I'm listening. Sounded pretty good."
Yeah, he's in Vegas. He might need something to listen to on the way to whatever he's doing.
Right. He's not a gambler. I can't see him going to any of the Vegas shows. Wayne Newton. I don't see him going to Wayne Newton. So it's kind of surprising for him not to text saying, "Hey, just checking in, listening. You guys sound pretty good. Keep up the good work."
Maybe we're not doing good. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Maybe he's taking there is a
He's
possible
on a bender. He's on a Vegas bender because we're doing the show.
There's a detour to Los Angeles too. I don't think it's super far from Las Vegas. So maybe Ryan's made it out into California, and he's maybe fallen in with some beach goers or something like that. Maybe he's having a far better time than we think.
That could be as well. So interesting. I can't wait till he gets back and we can ask him all these fun questions.
I know, and it'll probably be a very simple and basic answer. It'll probably. Yeah. I was just at the convention all week.
Yeah, I came back to my hotel room, watched TV, and
didn't listen to the show.
Right. Tigers down 4-1 in the bottom of the 8th. They're threatening. They got 2 on with Hyu Lee up. I like this Hyu Lee. He is he's fun to watch. I like how he's got all that power to right field, how he takes the ball to right field.
Oh yeah, he is not afraid to swing the bat either. We were just talking about it during the break about people that don't like to swing the bat on the team. He will swing at quite literally anything, and I kind of like it.
But he still gets walks too. He's still got a pretty good eye.
Mm-hmm.
What I like is, if you ever watch him when he gets a hit, he throws the bat. Like when I did that, I always got in trouble in Little League because I would hit the ball and I would throw my bat. If you watch him, he literally whips that bat. It's not in the batter's box.
Maybe he's adding some more flair to his game. If anybody's watched a New York Mets game lately too, go check out Jeffrey Yan, the guy that jumps every time he throws a pitch. He is celebrating like mid-pitch usually.
I haven't seen that in a few weeks. Has he been doing okay?
He started pretty good. He throws like 102 from the left side, so that helps. But the other day, Jake Rogers, pertains to the Tigers, by the way, guys. Jake Rogers, who recently set a record for how many teams he's been on in a 21-day span. I think it was 4. Hit a walk-off home run off of Jeffrey Yan after Jeffrey Yan, the batter before, thought he struck the guy out, jumped and celebrated, and it was challenged, and it was not a strike. So he gave up a walk-off home run immediately after, and it kind of writes itself, although I do appreciate watching the celebration. But maybe we need that guy in the bullpen for the Tigers.
I don't know. He's a meme. That's
yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, "That dude, you're just asking for trouble." Because the minute you give up a home run, someone's going to look at you and jump just like you do.
And jump, and it's an injury waiting to happen, I feel like.
Absolutely.
Maybe he needs to soften the jump a little bit.
All right, we need to get out of here. Let's thank our sponsors, Collectibles Insurance Services, Eric Hall, Aesthetic and General Dentistry, Calder Financial, Grand Management Group, Ryden Investments, Encore Business Group, Jim Hegland of J&H Realty, Williams Chiropractic, West Michigan Sports Commission, and Nomad Be Happy. Jayden, it's been real.
It has.
It's been fun.
This might be the continuing thing, though, so we'll see.
We'll see. We'll let you know. Thanks for hanging out with us at Sports Intel with Ryan Walsh. Have a good night.